book is when I was 4, I woke my mom up in the middle of the night and said I was afraid of having a baby. And she was just like, what? Why are you afraid of having a baby? But my mind just would take a thought and run with it. And so I was afraid of having a baby because of my cousin had told me about someone having an epidural. And then I had kindergarten shots coming up. So I took that as, I'm going to get kindergarten shots, and then someday I'm going to get this huge shot, and I don't want to do that, so I can't have a baby. And then I worried about, at 8, I made a college plan. And my college plan was to get a basketball scholarship to an NCAA school. 8. I was a kid who worried. And I remember being, much of my childhood being afraid of things, and kind of my mind was always going. I was always feeling like, a future event I was super focused on. And I never really knew what to do about it, except just kind of deal with it and kind of get through it. And when I started a private practice, I started it just a couple blocks from one of the most academic schools in town. And I was getting just a ton of anxious kids. And I started thinking, wow, why all these kids are anxious, and they're all worried about the same thing. Because they were worried about, like, death. They were worried about getting to college, natural disasters. And they were, like, 5 and 6 years old. And I couldn't figure out why I was seeing this. And so I was looking for correlations between intelligence and anxiety. And I found that there really wasn't any information out there. And so I thought, well, I'll have an idea. So I took my idea and I just did a book proposal, and I found an agent, and it sold. So it was just kind of I was looking for information, couldn't find it, so I wrote a book about it. A lot of books talk about, getting rid of anxiety or freeing kids from anxiety. And my take is that for a lot of people, myself included, anxiety is just kind of something that's part of a personality and is probably going to be there. So my approach is to give tools to help people with anxiety, to empower them, rather than make the intention of it going away. And I think, too, if we say that we want anxiety to go away, then we say that there's something wrong with you and that we need to fix you. And I don't think that we need to be fixed necessarily as people, but more of an approach to kind of work with what we have, basically. Mm-hmm. So the tools are intended to help kids. One of the most popular tools is square breathing, and that is just a way to calm the body and the mind. And so we call it square breathing because we count to 4, and there's 4 different stages of the breathing. And so what it does is it helps kids calm down by taking a deep breath, but also when you count, you get your mind off of the worry. And a lot of times we're telling kids to breathe, but they're still thinking about the worry. So what we're doing now is just saying, breathe while you're counting. And so the counting tends to take your mind off of it. And within 3 cycles, 3 rounds, generally kids are pretty calm. Mm-hmm. So it works, and it works for adults. And I was on the bench, and I just had to have a different role. And I remember, thinking, well, there's a lot of people my whole life who've sat on this bench and cheered for me. It's my turn. I got a different perspective, which changed me in that way of, like, there's a lot of people, times, you're in the game, you don't realize the people on the bench, how they feel, and I got to feel that. Yeah. And then I got it together my senior year. It was no problem, but my junior year was hard. I mean, I was lost without basketball. I was totally lost. I walk in with my mom, and it's my junior year, and I have to declare a major. And I am, like, spinning around the room, and I'm walking from table to table. It's this pivotal moment in life. And my mom's like, honey, you knew this was coming. Like, you need to declare major. And I didn't see counseling anywhere. I just was like, and so I come out of the room and I'm just standing there, and my mom's like, "Well, honey, what are you gonna do?" And I said, "I don't know." So I walk up to the Spanish table because I had taken Spanish a lot, enough Spanish. And so this woman says something to me in Spanish, and I said, like, I don't know what you just said, but I would just like to be a Spanish major. And she's like, "What? If you don't know what I just said, let's talk about this." And I was like, "Look, I just need a major." And she's like, "Hold on a second." And she brings this lovely woman in, and it's Betty Bush. And Betty says, so kindly, "So, Allison, let's talk about what you might want to do." And it was just, and I said, "Someone said I would be a good counselor, and I think that's true. I think I could do that." And she said, "I could see that. You have a nice smile. You seem like you'd be a good person to talk to." And literally, she told me how to do that, and I did it. And it took, our conversation was probably 15 minutes, but it was memorable. And she brought me in one day, and she said to me, "You're a natural." And I'll never forget that. And I said, "At what?" And she said, watch this video." And she had filmed this video of us in class, it was a practicum. And she's like, "Look how you like, there's a kid over here, and you notice." Anyway, and she was pointing out, and I thought she was the craziest thing I've ever heard. I was like, "I'm a natural at this?" And she said, "Yeah, it's like," and I remember thinking, this works. For whatever reason, this is working for me right now. And I'll never forget her saying that. No one had ever said that about anything I've done. Like, to me, I was a hard worker. But I wasn't really working at it. I was just, and it's like, now counseling is like a natural thing for me. But it started with that, and I'll never forget her saying that. My classes are very real, practical, because I want those kids to come out with a sense of, like, here's what you do if someone sits in front of you with this, instead of the idea. Because to me, the idea is only useful in theory, in school.
I do play therapy, so I see kids 4 and up. With young kids, play therapy is kind of the only option. And so I have these toys, and I use them to sort of get kids to talk about feelings. And then I work with teenagers as well, which is more of a talk therapy. So my typical session, I meet with the parents for 5 or 10 minutes, and then I work with the kids the remainder of the session. And I have, sort of a goal, like a tool that I teach them. I get them to talk about, identify feelings. It's very fun, which is a good fit for me, because it's like, it's very fun. Kids are light. It's not as heavy as, I'm sure, working with adults all day. But kids get better pretty quickly. So that's good too for everyone, because it's like you give them some tools, you help them, you help the parents, you help the kids, and things get better. And but they come and go. Like, we'll do some stuff and they'll seem better, and then I never officially terminate. I just say, come back if you need to. And I end up seeing kids. A couple years later, a kid comes back, rough time with friends or something like that, and a few sessions, and then they go away. So I like that, having like a relationship with kids as they get older. But I just am very old-fashioned in that we need to sit with people and talk with them, and that there isn't enough of that, of, sitting with someone for an hour, your phone's off, there's no internet, and just really talking. I think we need that, and I think counseling is one of those fields where it is a no technology zone, and that I think it's really important, and I think that this field is only going to get more, be more important to people in that way.